up? I see some old friends in the front row here. Good to see you. And hello to the Western Conservative Summit. And hello, Colorado. It is such a pleasure and an honor to be here with all of you, especially at the base of the Rocky Mountains in downtown Denver. I mean, what could be better? As a kid, growing up in Arizona, I spent a lot of time in the state camping with my family, and I'm always really grateful to come back west. So thank you to the Centennial Institute and Colorado Christian University for having me and for putting on such an amazing conference for all of you where you can be with like-minded people. And I also think they deserve a lot of credit for all of the young people who are here. And I love seeing that it's not just college students who are here, which is incredibly important, but also high school students from across the country are here. So yay for that. Good job. So it's been a few years now since I moved from Arizona, where I'm from, to Washington, D.C. to pursue my dream of working in conservative media. And now let me tell you, working in D.C. is everything people tell you about. It's dirty, it's hot, it's humid, Metro's usually broken, it's full of pressure, and of course, lots of politics. I always joke about how working in the nation's capital is like dog years. One feels like 7 because you pack so much into a day that it just feels like yesterday was a month ago. And especially with this administration. Did you see the news today? Because it wasn't what I was expecting for today, and yesterday, and every day. And as someone who's new to the White House press corps, no day is the same, and certainly we don't suffer from boredom or an uninteresting storyline. There are, of course, lots of perks to the job, and moments that I find give me a daily reminder of gratitude. Little and new things that I keep noticing when I go to the White House on a pretty regular basis. The Marines standing guard, for example, right where President Trump comes out to greet his foreign guests. The protesters who inevitably are there outside on a daily basis with one cause or another. The Secret Service dogs and their agent handlers working to keep the place safe. And we're always wondering when the next fence jumper is coming and hope that it doesn't happen. And of course, the rumbling of Air Force or of Marine One landing on the South Lawn can't be heard anywhere else in the world. And being able to attend Rose Garden press conferences with the world's most respected, and some not so respected, leaders is pretty amazing. And even when their motorcade shut down traffic, there's still a sense of pride about them visiting America. And of course, being a conservative in the press corps makes things all the more interesting. Considering this room is full of politically astute individuals, House of Cards is probably a familiar television show. Any of you know about House of Cards? A few of you? I often get the question, is House of Cards real? Is it an accurate portrayal of the way that Washington works? And I get the impression that people asking me this question want me to say, no, it's totally not like that. But being an honest person, I always tell them, oh, if you think House of Cards is bad, you have no idea. But that's the nature of government, and despite the accuracy of the swamp or the bubble labels, we still live in the greatest country on earth, and every day we are proud to be Americans, whether we live in Colorado or in Washington, D.C., or wherever else we might be from. The realities and pressures of Washington also make coming back to and home to and relying on principle even more important. This is the Western Conservative Summit, and I think there are a few things that the East Coast, specifically Washington, can learn from Western values which easily couple with conservative beliefs. So, to start, it's the Wild West. You better buckle up and bring your boots and put your chaps on, because there's gonna be a lot of you-know-what to walk through. I wear my cowgirl boots around Washington, D.C. all of the time, and it's not just because I'm from the West and I like to make a fashion statement every now and then, but it's because I'm dodging the proverbial scorpions, cactus, snakes on a regular basis that tend to dwell in the swamps of Washington, D.C. And one of my favorite sayings has always been, "Life is tough, my dear, and I suggest you get a really cute helmet because the ride is worth it." But another thing that you can learn from Western values that can translate to Washington, D.C. is getting the hard work done early, because there's always more work to do. Anyone who's ever worked on a ranch knows that's true. Keeping your word, because if you don't deliver on a promise, people will remember, and trust is a very difficult thing to regain once it is lost. Congress, I hope, is listening, because I seem to remember lots of promises and words about the repeal of Obamacare, and yet we still haven't seen as much progress, I think, as we should. A little humility goes a long way. Standing in the middle of Rocky Mountain Park is similar to standing at the edge of the ocean. It's big, it's vast, and it makes you feel humble, which is a good thing. That feeling can be applied to other parts of life, not just standing in the middle of the wilderness. It's about taking on big challenges and knowing it's possible. And now, I know when it comes to politicians, this is a lot to ask, but taking a step back to listen and consider new ideas and policy proposals in a humble way paves a path for true and much-needed government reform. Sometimes the trail will be long with a few unexpected storms along the way, but putting the hard work in without taking a shortcut always gets to a better end result. Personal responsibility, we know, is crucial to long-term survival and, quite frankly, to pursuing a fulfilled life. Making decisions for yourself, being your own personal leader, is a much better way to live than having someone else making decisions for you, especially big government bureaucrats in a city far away. Be a good neighbor, but mind your own business. Most importantly, freedom should be the foundation on which we govern. Less is certainly more. And finally, as the old saying goes, don't be all hat and no cowboy. And don't be an empty suit either. There are many lessons to be learned, but it's important to remember the positive and the progress of this country far outweighs the negative. I think oftentimes we get caught up in the things that are wrong when a lot of things are actually going right. Every day is a battle against leftism and forces who want to limit our freedoms, but it's a battle we fight and a battle that we're actually winning. Across the country, conservative principles are winning at the ballot box, whether it's school choice, the Second Amendment, labor union reform, business deregulation, and so much more. And this is because we reject the idea that if you surround yourself with a safe space, you'll be successful in life, and we promote true tolerance by being open to ideas opposed to our own so we know what we stand for and what we believe in. We understand that the free exchange of ideas without fear of consequence is a core American value, so important that it is enshrined in the Constitution and has been broadly reaffirmed by the Supreme Court for decades. We believe that the next generations deserve a future without burdensome debt and limited career choices. We believe that anyone, regardless of race, background, or circumstances, has the ability to pursue the American dream, so long as they are able and allowed to pursue their own freedom and opportunities. We reject the government limiting liberty that belongs to those who are destined to succeed. When you do, thank you. When you do a Google search of the American dream, this is the definition that you will find. The American dream is a national ethos of the United States, a set of ideals in which freedom includes the opportunity for prosperity and success, and an upward social mobility for the family and children achieved through hard work in a society with few barriers. I know every single person in this room believes in the American dream because you've lived it. Your children have lived it, your neighbors have lived it, your friends have lived it. I certainly believe in the American dream because I'm living it right now in so many different ways. The American dream can mean so many different things to different people, and that's the beauty of it, and it's customizable by the individual. It means having options and defending your own future, but requires a person to be responsible for their own path and the decisions that they make along the way. So as we move away from years of economic devastation and into a positive and booming economic future under a new administration, the American dream has a bright road ahead for anybody who chooses to pursue it. And as Margaret Thatcher said, the facts of life are conservative, and she was right. Conservative principles have led this country through good times and bad, and will continue to do so as long as we fight for them and stress their importance. And to quote Teddy Roosevelt, since we are in the West, and I know that Secretary Zinke was here earlier, so maybe he did this too, we have fallen heirs to the most glorious heritage a people ever received, and each one of us must do his part if we wish to show that the nation is worthy of its good fortune. That's absolutely true. The conservative future and the future of America are bright because of every person in this room, because of the people who make this country the most incredible nation on earth. Not because the government makes it great, but because the people and individuals who live here make it great. And that's because, after all, we're all endowed by our Creator with certain inalienable rights. That among these are life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness, whether you live in the West or in the East. Keep up the good work, keep fighting the good fight, and thank you so much for being here.